Wow, what a beautiful piece of art. Sometimes I can just get so lost in the whole hidden meanings of the artwork and how the tennis ball was drawn perfectly to indicate that it is moving just for the person to return it into their favorite backhand position. Well, I can't get too carried away there with my love for art. It all relates to my pet peeve. My pet peeve is that I have totally dealt with so many people who invade my privacy and my opinions due to my creative artistic views and how I like the different cultures, and that relates to the Article 3 of the life, liberty, and security of person. I feel that grants us our choices to have our own liberty and our own freedom to make decisions and have our own beliefs, which also relates to Article 27, that everyone has the right to freely participate in a cultural life of the community and enjoy the arts, such as this. Which is getting to another one of my artistic views and how I love certain things, especially the Japanese cultural mangas and TV shows and movies. A lot of people come into my space and my privacy and immediately look at it based off stereotypes and don't give it a chance and degrade me as a person for having these cultural views and enjoying these different types of TVs and movies and comics. Which gets to another thing of Article 18, freedom of thought, which also relates to Article 19, freedom of opinion and expression. I have the freedom to express myself and believe that I view these as very special to me and deep down. And it really gets on my nerves when people automatically come and say, oh, you just like that comic and that weird cartoon stuff, when it really has a deeper meaning to it. And which is gets to my point of why I also like art. Art always has a deeper meaning to it. If you think about the amount of work that people can put into when they're just doing their first shading, the creation of when they're doing each texture and coloring to show that this is a grass tennis court. This could also be in Wimbledon due to the outfits and how they were all white. Also, I do not like when people judge my beliefs and expression on how I like to read novels, even though they may be fictional, such as Harry Potter. Harry Potter has always been one of my favorite books, and that just the way that Harry counters all of the struggles in his life and carries on with all of his friends, and it teaches you the deeper meaning of friendship, which relates to how I always have my right to have my own beliefs and opinions and such, just like how people can look at this book and relate to it and say that I want to be just like Harry Potter and I want to move on to have my friends and always look after people who may not be your family, but they could be as close as family. Which is another point that I like too, like how Harry Potter teaches you that you don't always have to have family members to make yourself feel at home. You can have close friends. You can live with those close friends and meet them in university and let them, those bonds help to build yourself, to help you reach new goals. Because when you have people around you who preach positivity, it can go on to you. And then next thing you know, you are growing to be a bigger and better person. Which is why I hate when people look at these fictional books and movies and say that I am just some nerd who doesn't look at the real meanings of life. Like I do. Like honestly, I do like a lot of non-fictional stories, and I do look at people from the 60s and 70s and politics and how they advocated for justice and built themselves up just to do it for people who are struggling and continuing to look for a person to reach out for them and talk for them. Which is why that anytime people look at me and say that you have no right or you are a different person just because you like these certain things, it makes me feel like that's not truly right. Because if I have all of these beliefs and opinions, which is granted by the UN Declaration of Human Rights, I have the right to go look at these books, look at these movies, these pieces of art, and like them as much as I want. I hate when people come into my room, but especially in first year of university, and just look at my posters and immediately try to judge me as a person and see that just because I have this painting in my house or just because I read this book, it makes me a different person. As we grow up, we need to start to understand that everyone has their own rights and opinions. Everyone has their own freedom of expression. And we need to learn to look at people and say, it's very cool that they like that. For example, just with looking at meeting new roommates and stuff, you have to understand that they're going to be different. And next thing you know, they could be your best friend, which is why everyone has the right to read and express their artistic beliefs and cultural beliefs until the day that they die.